I'd like to thank you for attending the Driving the Daisies Zoomathon. This is a fundraiser for the pilot coming up for Driving the Daisies. It's about the caretakers and the elderly and what they and we all soon maybe will have to deal with when it comes to either dealing with our parents getting older and maybe developing dementia and just the everyday lives of maybe caring for someone who has become elderly and they're still adults. They're still your parents, They want to be able to live their own lives, but as we become adults, we realize that now it's our job to take care of them. Okay? So, like I said, this is a fundraiser, so give as generously as you can. I think this is a very poignant and a very important project to come about. I mean, as an actor, you see all the young and beautiful people, you know, doing their things, getting in all kinds of trouble. But there's also the aspect of young, older people doing the things that they wish they could have done when they when they're in the some of the old folks' homes. They're doing very teenager things just with each other. I've heard some really outrageous stories about older people, man. Oh man, I'm just going, y'all still do that? Oh
Yes,
my God.
in Driving the Daisies, I'm so excited to be able to do this Zoomathon and to share with all of you how it started. Driving the Daisies, I started it in 2015. I was a full-time caregiver for my grandparents. My grandpa had dementia, my grandma had Parkinson's, and they weren't able to care for themselves. And so they had to rely on other people and on me specifically. I became a full-time caregiver. And then especially as my grandpa's dementia progressed, I had to get outside help too. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on. Um, but I wanted to, during COVID, I sat down and I wanted to be able to share what I went through. The most important thing, as you're going to see in the video that's going to come up in just a minute about Driving the Daisies, is it's about loss of independence. That was the biggest takeaway that I had with my grandparents, watching them lose their independence and have to rely on others. It was huge. It was absolutely huge because if you have family members or you have loved ones and they're very, very independent and they never rely on anybody, and then all of a sudden their health starts to deteriorate, they have to rely on other people. And that's so hard for them. And it's so hard to ask for help. And so during COVID, I sat down, I created Driving the Daisies. It's a limited six-part series, and it's about supporting aging adults. It's about supporting caregivers. I think you'll find today this event is going to be a big love fest to caregivers because caregivers don't always feel appreciated. Um, so I work right now, I work as a notary. And so I am in a lot of facilities. I'm in hospitals, I'm in nursing homes, and I see firsthand understaffed caregivers trying to do the very best they can. And I also see that people are trying to support them when they can, but not always. And so we're going to be hearing from caregivers today. We're going to be hearing from a lot of caregivers. We're going to be hearing from musical artists. And we're going to be hearing from a comedian who actually works in a facility and uses humor and entertainment to entertain the residents as well as just to release and to have fun. And so we'll be hearing from her later on. And I am so excited to get this started.
They got a van. So what did they do? Called on the granddaughter to drive them through.
In 2015, I became a full-time caregiver for my grandparents, meet Fred and Joan, when their health deteriorated due to Parkinson's and dementia. The biggest lesson I learned was how truly difficult it was for them to lose their independence and have to ask for assistance. It got me thinking that there is just so much that we just don't understand and we can't relate to because we haven't been through it yet. Things that, when shared with the general public, can help us all to have a clearer understanding of what's involved in the aging process. Hi, I'm Amanda Fugate-Moss, and I'm the creator of Driving the Daisies.
I'm Timothy Patrick Murphy, songwriter and composer.
Driving the Daisies is a dramedy musical that explores what it's like to lose independence and have to rely on others as we age.
Fun, authentic, and very bold, Driving the Daisies tells the tough stories of aging, disease, and loss of independence while using humor and music to keep the audience engaged. It tells the real stories of these dismissed generations through our eyes. We have a strong vision about this project with a lot of stories to share. We know what it can accomplish when it comes to fruition. We have a lot of interest, but we still need your support to make it a reality.
My inspiration for this show was Ernest Thompson, Norman Lear, and Rachel Bloom. Many shows make reference to the older generations, but they gloss over the real health issues while focusing primarily on the youth. Representation like this is very difficult to find on TV.
When you contribute to our campaign, you're supporting a woman-driven show made up primarily of older cast and crew that uplifts and supports the voices of the aging generations of men and women going through the aging process right now. Driving the Daisies tells their stories through their perspective while raising awareness within our society without judgment.
I see. It helps no bending, stretching, or straining,
And what do you think about that? You think that's a good gift?
and no playing with your weed whacker trying to get your socks on. That's not nice.
Thank you so much for helping us bring Driving the Daisies to fruition.
Driving the daisies all the way back home.
Hello, this is Yawo Attivor from Togo, West Africa. Tack, tack. Togo is the only country that looks like a hot dog in West Africa. And I want to thank you for the meaningful work that you're doing, taking care of the senior citizens in the village. In Togo, we don't have the means to take our parents when they get older. We don't have the means to take them to a nursing home or anything like that. So we take care of them at home, our parents. And I remember how my wife and I took care of my mother, Victoria Blabu Ayoko Attivor. Then she left. She made the transition to the next phase in 2023. Pay Sonam. This song is called Celebrate Life. It's one of my original songs. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a Friday night. What are we gonna do on Earth? The crowd is here to stay. Come on to celebrate life. Azakumene, come on and celebrate life. Come on and celebrate life. Azakumene, come on and celebrate life. Azakumene. It's a Friday night. What are we gonna do? In the village, the place, la place du village. That's the place, the square right in the middle of the village, where everybody gets together under the tree to celebrate life. It's a Friday night, la place du village. Nous allons célébrer la vie. Come on and celebrate life. Come on and celebrate, celebrate life. Oh, hey, 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 Novion, Ojina na 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 deja, hey, Azekurumene. Come on and celebrate, celebrate life. Azekurumene. This is Yawo Attivor. Thank you. Celebrate life.
Hi, my name is Kitty Norton, and I am a former dementia family caregiver to my mother, Gloria. My sister and I co-cared for Mom the last 5 years of her life. So we started in 2016, and Mom died in March of 2021. Mom was about mid-progression when we took over from our dad. He had sworn he would take care of Mom until the day he died, but unfortunately, pancreatic cancer had other ideas. So Dad had died, and my sister and I decided to take care of Mom, and we moved into her home. My boyfriend and I did. My sister had a home on the coast where she lived and worked, but we were living down in LA at the time. So we moved back up here, moved into Mom's home, and my sister and I split up the week. She would come in for anywhere from 1 day a week to 4 days a week. And then I lived here with Mom and took over the rest of the days. It's a really tough journey. My time was not my own. I had a lot of help. You know, I have a sister that helped me, and then the last 2 years of Mom's life, we actually hired someone else to come in and help us because we were just so overwhelmed. But there's also an awful lot of life on this journey, and that's something that nobody talks about very often. My family and I were very we relied a lot on humor to get us through everything in life, and dementia was no different. So we managed to find the funny things in the things that Mom did and said. She too would laugh and giggle. We played tricks on her. She would play tricks on us. She used to love to hide behind the refrigerator door in her little white nightie. And you would have the door open, you'd go to shut it, and here's Mom, and she'd go, boo. It's just like, scare the crap out of you. So that's something that I don't think people tell you, that yes, this is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do. But there's also a lot of life. And if you open yourself up to that, you might have an easier time of it. Nothing's going to make this easy, but you might have an easier time. Some of the most difficult parts is, maybe like me, you thought that dementia was just losing your memory, and it's not. In fact, you retain memories. They just might not be yours, or they might not be the ones that are currently happening. You might be thinking about going back and checking up with your mom when your mom's been dead for, 35 years. But you've got memories, but you just don't have a timeline. So some of that was difficult for me to get used to, for me to just figure out how to connect with her regardless of where she was on her timeline. If she was asking for her daddy, I would just say, hey, he's on a trip, but I think he's going to bring us some gifts back. What would you like? What are you hoping he brings you? Or what's your favorite thing about Dad? I would just be able to ask her questions to kind of get her moving in a different direction. Didn't always work, but it worked a lot of times. The disappearance of things. My father almost lost his mind over not being able to find wooden spoons in the house. And I was living down in LA at the time, so I'd come home 4 or 5 times a year because it's a pretty quick flight. And invariably, my dad, within an hour of being home, was just like, "What? I don't know what she does with all the wooden spoons." That seemed to be the one thing he fixated on. So that's difficult. The things that they forget, like my mom forgot how to lay down in bed, and my mom was small, but if it had been my dad, that would have been really hard for us to kind of get him all up on the bed. She would just lay down with her feet on the floor, just instead of laying, this way on the bed, she'd just plop like that. She forgot how to point her toes. And you don't think that's going to be important, except you try and get shoes on someone who doesn't point their toes anymore. They better be pretty flexible shoes. Their preferences for meals changes, and that's really frustrating because sometimes you finally get something figured out that mom loves to eat, and within 2 weeks she doesn't love to eat it anymore. And that happens with a lot of things. There is so much problem solving, and in dementia, bring as much of your creativity to it as you can. You're going to have to solve, the problem of mom won't sit on the toilet anymore. How do we work around that? And oftentimes you solve a problem, and then, a couple months later, that solution no longer works, and you have to solve the same problem over again. And that was really hard for me. I lost my mind a few times thinking, we finally just got this to work, and now it's not working anymore. But the most important thing I learned is that there is so much life on the end of life journey. And I am guessing that this is for all end of life journeys, not just dementia. It's very difficult to say goodbye to someone. But when you don't start saying goodbye too early, and you're still just giving them as much of their life as you can, there's a lot of good in that. And it makes you feel good, and it makes them feel good. Yeah. I would do it again for my mom. I'll probably never do it again for anybody else. But it was a journey worth taking.
She's my favorite person. Best server, but best person, yeah. And he introduced me when his kids would arrive, obviously adult kids, as his comedian. So just, yeah.
That's so sweet. So he took ownership, not ownership, but he adopted you in a way as his other child, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. And boy, if you don't know Melina, she is a huge cat person. She's got cat stuff everywhere. She's even got like a cat purse. I could totally see the residents going crazy to want to take care of you and give you little cat gifts. That's so cute. Why do you think that caregiving, you were in these facilities, you work in these facilities. Why do you think that caregiving and like food service is so incredibly important?
Well, I found that a lot of them were either lonely, or they just they missed their significant other, or they just didn't want to be there. And so most of my time there, I worked with the servers were teenagers, and some of them were good, but some just kind of were there to do their shift and leave. And so I stayed for 5.5 years because of the residents. I had pretty terrible bosses. So I wanted to leave, but I just felt like they had kind of become my family or second family. And just I felt like I was one of the few people that wasn't just like, all right, our menu is this, but like asked about how their weekend was or remembered their names, and they felt like humans versus
Non-human. Yeah, I have to totally agree with that. Like I mentioned before, I work as a notary, and I'm in a ton of these facilities, and the number one thing is loneliness. There's so much loneliness, so many people who either have been dropped off and forgotten about, or their families can only come during certain times
yeah.
because they're working all the time, and they have to make time to get in and see their parents or their grandparents. Um, and God, what a joy that I know that I've read so many of your posts, and I've seen some of your routines online and stuff, and they're actually really funny. Um, that you are able to like bring joy and laughter to these residents when they just don't feel like they have that support.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexis Baker. I am a board certified music therapist of 12 years, a certified dementia practitioner, and the founder of Bridgetown Music Therapy, which I've been running for the past 9 years. Today, I want to share with you about the power of music and the role music therapy plays in dementia care. Music is a powerful tool to effect change, to spark joy, bring connection, evoke past memories, tap into a person's identity and emotions, reduce agitation and anxiety, and so much more. As a music therapist, I get to use music every single day to facilitate these types of outcomes. I use a variety of music-based activities such as singing, instrument play, and movement to music to help my clients engage with and benefit from music. The magic of music and what I get to witness in my work every day is when a person goes from being completely withdrawn, maybe their head is down or they haven't spoken in months, they're completely disengaged from the people and the world around them, or they may even just not be physically moving. I've seen them go from presenting in this way to full-on engagement. They start tapping their toes, they start clapping their hands, playing an instrument, engaging in physical movement, connecting with the person next to them, whether it's a staff member, a fellow resident, or even a loved one. I've seen people go from being completely nonverbal and not having spoken in months to belting out one of their favorite songs. Music therapy gives people the opportunity to be self-expressive, to reconnect, to experience joy, and to experience all the benefits music has to offer. Today, I wanted to leave you with a song. It's one of my clients' most well-known, well-loved, most requested song. It's a song that seems to span generations and just be super well known by many, many people. The song is You Are My Sunshine. If you happen to know it, you can sing with me. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. much. If you would like to learn more about my work, the programs I've created, our offerings, and just music therapy in general, you can visit our website, bridgetownmt.com, and feel free to reach out directly to me on there through our Contact Us button at the bottom. Take care.